Okay, everybody, as you can see, I've finished up the metal vertical framing on this building using the angled styrene, but remember you can use just regular styrene and create the angles yourself. Alright, so I've got that done all the way around the building. Alright, the next thing we need to do is talk about chimneys, because of course we're going to need some tile roof on this, but first we need to have a chimney on this structure. Alright, so what we're going to do is actually use some plastic tubing. Straws would be fine. Look around, see what you got. I just happen to have this piece of plastic. I don't remember where this came from. I think it was from some sort of metal, something that shipped with me with metal, and they put this around it, and so I wound up with this piece of plastic, just scrap. Anyway, this is going to become part of the chimney. That is going to go kind of into the reverse slope of the roof. And I'm also going to do a second chimney made out of a bendy straw. Okay, so I'm going to have kind of two chimneys protruding out of the back of this. So, just to give you an idea, I've pre-cut a piece about a couple inches, all right, for the thick chimney to come out of the back. All right, I'm going to implant that in, and then I'm going to have the smaller chimney, which is the bendy straw, which, by the way, I've cut. Here's one I've cut down. You can see I just bent it to create an angle. I'm going to have this chimney kind of side by side up against the other one, and I'm going to put both of these somewhere on the reverse slope of the roof. Both of these are going to be dressed up a little bit. The black tubing, or the bigger tube, I'm going to put a metal rim around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of styrene plastic, for sale sign, get some super glue, and glue that around the top to have something like this. Actually, I've got one ready to go, just so you'll see. Alright, so here's my my chimney with a piece of plastic around. I'm going to put some rivets on that reinforced section later to dress it up. That's going to go into the back of the roof. And then also I've got for my little bendy straw smaller chimney, which is going to go up against this one, I need kind of a little domed cap to this. So I have made that as well. And so if I can balance all this delicately, no I can't. Anyway, what you're going to have in the end is just kind of this nice little, ramshackle chimney of this domed chimney and this big one up against each other. By the way you make these domed caps, like the one that's going to go on the bendy straw, and here's a close look at it, is you take a piece of styrene, you cut out a round piece of styrene, this is a disc of styrene, and you do a slit about from any edge to the middle, like the radius. And then what you do, hopefully you can see what I'm doing here, is you bend it and overlap it. Alright, you bend it and overlap it. So it's kind of like that. Some super glue will settle along that seam, we'll seal it fast. And then what you've got is this kind of cone shape, right? This little dome shape. That's going to go on top of my bendy straw chimney. Alright, so I'm going to do most of this work off camera, but I do want to mention the couple ideas about how to put a cylindrical object like this smokestack or chimney into this house. You could, of course, make a hole and implant it, but I always think it's better to make cut an X in and then kind of shove it into that X. It'll be more firm that way. So I'm going to show you that stage. Now, X-Acto knives will always do the job when cutting foam core, styrofoam, but a good old craft knife or utility knife is good if you want a nice thick blade for your whatever you're planning to. So I'm going to put that main smokestack about 2/3 of the way up the back slope of this house. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of cut an X into this. Okay, like that. Right. So I've cut an X into this, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of plant my smokestack. I'm gonna force it a little bit into that, all right, and then kind of just plant it into that area like that. That's the idea, right? So that is kind of the idea of how this is going to look, and then I'm going to put this other smokestack kind of next to it on the side, the one that's going to have a little dome on it, the bendy straw one. It's going to be protruding more or less out of the right next to that one. Right, so that's what I'm going to do. All right, and I'm going to glue that in there with some white glue, and it'll be ready to go. If you've got any kind of indentation around this hole right now, don't worry about that, because when we put shingles on here, that's going to cover up any kind of protrusion. But I like the idea of kind of slicing that X in and putting the round object in and gluing it in there, because it's going to be a lot nicer hold than if we tried to messily cut a hole in this foam core and get a perfect fit. This is going to be a better fit in the long run, right? So that's the plan. So I'm going to get that in there firmly. I'm going to show you what that smokestack section looks like in just a second. Okay, so now I have my chimney built, all right, which is kind of a two-piece thing. And let me zoom in there a little bit. All right, so basically the chimney consists of this kind of large pipe, which was the large plastic tube that we used. Did a kind of a reinforcement metal strip around it that's going to be riveted later on. And then we have the bendy straw kind of smokestack protruding off the other smokestack over here to the side. And remember, with the bendy straw, we also added that little dome that we kind of hand made out of a round piece of styrene. All right, so that's the chimney. We got some empty area around here. There's a little bit of caving in where we kind of push this in. When we shingle all this, that's not going to show up at all, so don't worry about that. And speaking of shingling, I've gone ahead and started that on the other side. I do want to mention, if you want a tutorial on how to go about the shingling, you can go to my Iron Kingdoms house, or Warmachine house for Iron Kingdoms tutorial to see about how we go about the shingling. Just a quick walkthrough. Basically what I do is I take up a bunch of cereal box or snack box or whatever your source of cardboard is. Alright, make a whole bunch of shingles, okay, as such. Alright, so just cut them into small strips depending on the look you're looking for, and then you just begin to glue those on. So I've gone ahead and started that on the other side. So I've started to glue these. You want a little bit of an unevenness, you want a little bit of a misdirection, like they're sliding or slipping, they've had to be put back into place before. And then my rivets that I'm going to use are dress pens. Okay, so you want a flathead dress pen, basically, something that looks like that, if you can see that. And then what you do is, once you've glued these in place and you let them dry, you just kind of poke those in, push them down, flush as you can, okay, against through the cardboard. I like to put these rivets where the shingles kind of overlap, okay, if you can see, where one line of shingles comes against the next, to kind of show they're kind of hammering those down and making sure this whole roof stays on nice and flat. Alright, so I'm going to continue to shingle the top of this, and I'm going to shingle the other side. And then, around the chimney is a little tricky. You just cut pieces to fit. Alright, and then over the top, once we've shingled all the way up the front and all the way up the back, over the top we cut a long piece of cardboard, score it down the middle, fold it over, and just kind of put a cap over these shingles across the top of this building. Alright, so again, basically your shingles are little pieces of cardboard. Your push pins are your rivets, and that's basically it. Glue it on with white glue, push in those push pins. No need to glue the push pins, just pushing them through is going to hold them in place forever, and painting over it will definitely seal the deal, so you don't have to worry about applying any adhesive as you push those in. Alright, so just a couple things to note. Make sure you overlap the front of the building and a little bit on the sides, okay, as well, when you're shingling, and it should look great. So I'm going to continue shingling. And when we're done with that, it's time to add the little fun details to the building, which is my favorite stage of the project. So I'll continue that shingling work, and then we'll look at the details in just a second.